Hey, what's up? This is Jesse Both, and this is the first round of the Wiggleboom Invitational number 3. This is being played on Tour 3, and it requires you to use basic clubs and basic balls. And this is a tournament that's put on by Kevin Warren and his Facebook website, Golf Clashers. This is my first round matchup. And this is the first hole, so let's get going. My opponent starts it off with a good drive down the middle. You're not going to see the same type of razzle-dazzle shots as you normally are used to seeing, but you're going to see a lot of shots that require precision and perfect hits. If you don't hit it perfect in this type of format, you will be in trouble. So you really got to hit it perfect, or make sure you are lining yourself up for to be in decent position even with a bad hit. So you'll see my opponent getting ready to take his next shot. Ask Me Bollocks was my opponent for this matchup. And if you didn't catch the last Wiggleboom tournament, there is a video of the finals on my YouTube website, and I did win the championship of that tournament, so that's pretty cool. I don't know if I'll get anything cool or not for it, but it was still fun to win on my first tournament playing in. As you see, my opponent overshoots his shot here on this hole and goes into the rough. All I'm trying to do here is make sure I put the ball on the green somewhere past the hole and then let it roll back down to the hole. As you can see, I skirt with that left-hand edge, but I do get back onto the green and the ball rolls back down to the hole, and that'll be a very easy putt for my birdie. If you've never tried to chip with basic clubs before, you should try it. It's definitely not easy. Your accuracy is a 10. So my opponent has to make this chip basically to push the match to a shootout hole, because I doubt I missed my putt. And Ask Me Bollocks hits his shot, and look at that, got a nice chip in there, right there. Definitely not an easy shot to take, and he definitely stepped up to the plate and hit the shot. So good job there, Ask Me. Now I got to make my putt to get to the playoff hole. Nursing a little cough here, so sorry about that. I make my putt, so here we go, off to our playoff hole. And if you've never tried to play these playoff holes with basic clubs, it's definitely a different type of game. As you can see, the long iron does not even reach the edge of the green, like, the normal spot that a normal long iron would reach. So you really have to get creative with your shots. As you can see, he is aiming to the more towards the right middle of the green, and he hits it good. He said he tried to do it, but he didn't really think it would end up as good as it ended up. He gets the really friendly roll right to the edge of the green. A very nice shot. And well played, sir. So now I basically almost have to make a hole-in-one to even salvage this hole at this point. We're going to play, we know we have 4.2 mile per hour wind, so that's basically like a little bit over 1 ring with the accuracy I have. So we do hit it perfect, so we have a chance. We get the bounce, and we get a good roll, and we miss the pin, 1.49 yards. Now normally in this format that would win probably 9 out of 10 times, but when my opponent puts the ball on the edge of the cup, it's kind of hard to beat him. So My opponent will take the 1-0 lead, and this is a best of 7 series. The winner of the series will move on to the second round. The loser moves down to the loser's bracket. So we move on to hole number 2. Now this is a long par 5 and a tough hole, even when you have really good clubs. So we get to play it with basic clubs now. So basically, there's no way that I could drive into the sand bunker way out there. So I can hit it, overpower it, and not worry about hitting a perfect or a good. Because I know there's really no way for me to reach the bunker. So let's see what Mr. Bullocks does here. I mean, it's bad enough that you have to use basic clubs, but now you have a wind blowing in your face at 3.6 miles per hour. Alright, my opponent hits the ball up the fairway as well. And now we have to take our second shots and see if we can position them to make that third shot to the green. So these are basically the most important shots of the hole. Because if you mess up here and get in the rough, then you're really in trouble. And you see, I hit my shot and I roll it up there. Pretty good shot. I'm very happy with that. My opponent likewise hits his shot and pretty much matches me. A little bit farther to the right than me. On that shot, you do want to go to the left side so that you leave yourself a shot to the green. Alright, so really all I'm trying to do is get this to the right side of the green and hopefully get it to filter to the hole. If I can get it to the right far enough, then I can have it do that. And you can put like a little tiny bit of curl on these shots, but not too much. Not enough that really makes a difference. You'll see me, I get my ball on the green. I don't get it quite as far right as I want, but I do get to the putting surface to give myself a decent shot at a birdie putt. So you're going to see my opponent here. He's kind of not sure what he's going to do here, probably, because it's totally different when you're playing with these basic clubs. He's got a 4.1 mile an hour headwind, pretty much. He has no curl to work with, so he's basically shooting in the dark. I would probably do about the similar thing if I was in his position. That's why it is important on this hole to stay on the left side of the fairway on your second shot. As you can see, he ends up in the bunker, and being in the bunker with basic clubs is definitely not something that you want. I have a difficult putt here, and we make it. So we get our birdie, and we're going to force our opponent to make his chip out of the sand to force a shootout. Now you may wonder, how do you get involved in a tournament like this? Well, the way these ones work is you have to go to the Facebook website, which is Golf Clashers, and then there's usually an announcement made through that site, and Kevin Warren usually puts out a video talking about it as well. But then you have to go to a different website and actually create a username and sign up that way. And then basically you just match up with your opponents, through Facebook Messenger and the Golf Clashers site to set up your times to play. And whoever wins the series goes and reports it to the website, and you just go from there. So I'm going to take the win on hole number 2, and that evens the series at 1 game apiece. So we're going to move on to hole number 3. The drive on this hole is probably the most important shot, just because of the fact that there is, some variables that you have to, consider as far as the left rough and the trees on the right. You really just want to make sure you stay on the fairway on this shot at all costs, because your second shot with these clubs is going to be to the left side to set yourself up for a chip onto the green. I mean, unless you're like an uber like dunking pro, the basic concept is just to like stay safe, make the shots you need to make. A lot of these games probably end up being going to playoffs, and you'll see both of us just make the easy, nice shot into the fairway with our drive. And I check out going that way. I mean, he checks out going that way, but quickly realizes that it is much more of a risk shot to take, because it would require him to overpower his club. Overpowering basic clubs is not that easy. So he takes his second shot, rolls it up the fairway, and puts himself in a decent position for a third shot onto the green. You're going to see me do a similar thing. I'm going to check to the right. I'm going to realize, nope, I'm going to have to overpower that shot. And definitely with that headwind, it would not have been a possible shot, probably anyway. So I too go left. Just trying to put myself as far up as I can without messing anything up. And pretty much right about the same spot that my opponent's at. Another thing you want to keep in mind when you are playing with basic clubs, you do not want to underpower shots. He only has a 1.2 tailwind, and he's thinking that he's got way too much power on his shot, so he underpowers it. He ends up hitting it great and into the bunker. The thing about these clubs is with their accuracy, when you don't hit it perfect, the ball can really vary in the way that it moves. It's basically like 3 miles per hour per ring. And you're going to see me line my shot up. Virtually no wind. So my ball's going to land pretty much close to where I had it aimed at. We bounce on the green, roll a little bit past the hole, but that's okay. You'd rather be putting with basic clubs any day of the week than chipping. That's my opinion. Definitely do not want to be in a bunker. So I've got my putt for 4 and a birdie, and he's got his chip for 4 and a birdie. So if my opponent does not make this, I can make my putt and win the hole. He hits it great. Unfortunately, great is not good enough with the basic club or normal clubs normally. And as long as I make this putt, I can take the hole and we can move on to the next hole. Alright, I make my putt. I take the W, and I take a 2-1 lead. In a best of 7 series, you need to win 4 times to win the series. So I'm halfway there. And we will move on to our next hole. And our next hole will be a par 4. Another hole where you have a large fairway area. Really, pretty much, you just want to hit it and make sure you don't overly mishit it to possibly end up in the rough. My opponent hits it pretty far down the fairway, and I'm going to try to do the same. Sorry about the cough. Have had a cough all week, and I hadn't had a voice most of the week. Luckily, my voice is mostly returned. Not completely there yet. And as you can see, I hit my drive down the fairway, put myself in a good position for my second shot onto the green. So now you're going to see my opponent line up his second shot. One thing with basic clubs is you really got to be decent at kind of in your mind, at figuring out where the ball is going to bounce. And sometimes you want to aim a little bit, less, so that your ball doesn't bounce through something. My opponent hits a perfect shot, and man, he just about put that in the hole. You can't get much closer than that. Almost went in the hole. Little bit too much speed. That's where the under aiming comes into play a little bit, but you never want to underpower your club. You want to just kind of under aim it and play for the bounce. As you can see what I'm doing now, I have no ability to backspin, so I'm just going to aim it a little bit farther back and let the hop kill the roll. And as you see, I get a nice roll very close to the pin for a very easy putt. So now we're going to have to see my opponent's going to have to make this mid-range putt to put the pressure on me. And, well, he did it. So as long as I make my putt, we will move on to a shootout hole. And, yep, of course I make my putt. If I miss that putt, I should quit. Alright, so we move on to our shootout hole. And when you're playing in these types of tournaments, especially with the basic club and basic ball, it's really kind of an advantage to go second. As long as you don't mind dealing with the pressure of hitting the perfect shot. Because you can watch what your opponent does, where he aims his ball, and then adjust your shot from there. As you can see, the top right corner of his circle is right on the edge of that right sand trap. And that's kind of like my reference point for this hole when I watched him hit. I see him make his shot, and he goes a little bit past the hole. Luckily for him, there's a slope on the back of the screen, and the ball rolls back to the hole. But the point was, his aiming had it too far past the hole. So you're going to see me line up my shot exactly the same way that he lined up his. Front right corner of the white circle, right on the edge of that bunker. And then you're going to see me adjust my shot back just a little bit back to the left corner. Okay? Now I'm going to take my shot, and as long as I hit a perfect shot with the adjustments I made, I should win. I don't overhit it. I roll it right up to the edge of the hole. Get the W. Take a 3-1 lead. So, what you learn in that is to pay attention to your opponent's shot, where he lines up his shot. Because off of his shot, you can make an adjustment to your shot. And as you see, I did that, and it paid off for me. And it does not take a large adjustment to make a big difference on where the ball goes. So we're getting ready to play our fifth hole. Right now I have the 3-1 lead, and I need one more win to close out this first round play of the Wiggleboom Classic number 3. So with a 3-1 lead, I just want to make sure I don't make any major screw-ups where I just give him an easy win. If he's going to beat me, he's going to have to beat me in 3 playoff holes. That's the way I look at it. So he hit his drive. Now it's my turn. He hit his drive a little bit farther up to the right. And you're going to see me not really take as much of a risk as he did. I'm just going to like kind of hit my ball up near where he is. But I definitely do not take the same line as he takes, because I don't want to risk going into the bunker with the overpower. Which, as you can see, if I had tried to overpower my shot, I would have ended up in the rough. And that would have almost been guaranteed a win for him on this hole if I had done that. So for this shot, all you're really going to try to do is hit the ball out there towards the green and give yourself a decent attempt at a 3rd shot chip in. You want to make sure you don't hit the ball on the right-hand side into the rough or the bunker. That would spell disaster. As you can see, my opponent makes a nice shot and hits the ball up there close to the green, where he'll have a chance for his chip in now. And like I said at the beginning of the hole, all I want to try to do is basically shadow my opponent in this hole. If I get lucky and make a chip in on my next shot, then so be it. But I definitely just want to make sure that I push it to the shootout. You know, that is basically the biggest part of these types of tournaments where you have the basic club and basic ball, is knowing how to play those shootout holes. If you can guarantee to put yourself within like 2 to 3 yards every time, you have a really good chance to do well in the tournament. So now we're going to see my opponent try to make this chip in. And it's definitely hard to chip in these balls with the type of guide you have. Not to mention the accuracy. So my opponent hits it once again, and wow, he hit it right up to the edge of the cup. If we're playing real golf, that ball probably falls in. Unfortunately for him, that would have probably won him the hole. The chances of me chipping this in are not very high. So definitely a break. I caught a break there. That ball didn't drop. So I hit my shot. I'm up there next to the hole. Had a pretty good line on the hole, but not enough power. So, pretty sure we both going to make these putts. And we're going to go to the playoff hole with the match on the line. So as long as I can win this next playoff hole, I can win the set. If not, we go on to the next hole. But at this point, I feel pretty good because I hold a 3-1 lead. So I know my opponent is going to have to beat me 3 holes in a row. And, I think the odds of that are not very high. But there's always a chance that it can happen. So you just got to continue to try to make good shots. So I go first in this hole. And as I start looking at the options, I very quickly realize there aren't many. Because this is a hole where you normally use a lot of curl or side spin. And the shot that I normally would take would be in that rough in the upper left corner of that front right bunker. And then just roll it onto the green. I'm in between clubs, so I can't even make that shot. So I'm running out of time. I realize, okay, let me just bounce it off this patch of rough and see what I can do. And at least put the pressure on my opponent to try to make a decent, make the same shot I made. So I hit it. I don't hit it very good. I would have much rather been hit the right side of that fairway, hit the left side, and end up a little bit farther into the bunker to the left than I want. So all my opponent has to do is hit the right side of that little fairway right there, the upper right side of that fairway, and go into the right part of that bunker. My opponent is having the same issues that I have, and he kind of just, I'm not sure if he panics or just says the heck with it. But he hits a perfect shot. But he definitely did not have the power. So that will conclude our match. I win 4-1 against Ask Me Bullocks. And visit Golf Clashers for updates on this tournament.